Mic check, mic check. Alo, alo. Mic check, mic check. Ok, thế là ổn rồi đấy. Luminosity. Gì mà nguy hiểm vậy? Ok. Saturation. Chưa hiểu nó làm thế này có tác dụng chó gì. Hello. Thằng Sơn ở đấy à em? Oh damn. Rồi, học thôi. Bỏ học 2 hôm rồi, học tiếp. Kể nào thôi em ơi. Hôm nọ học đến cái masking. Pass and mask. Đây rồi.
In this video we're
Planning post-production.
In this video we're going to see how to organize in the right way your PSB file. But before doing that, in order to import
A free extensive cái gì reader
successfully your AXR files, you need to go to axr-io.com and download this free plugin for your Photoshop software. And I recommend you to download this new version, the 2.0, which support CryptoMath. So in case you're working with V-Ray, this would be extremely good and everything will work perfectly. So anyway, download it, install it, and then start Photoshop with this software, with this plugin on. So now I want to show you what happens when you install AXR.io. I click on this AXR file and then I get this new panel that asks me for some options. And by the way, normally I keep everything as it is by default because it works out of the box. There's nothing else to do here. So I click on open and now my image, my XR, which basically will is an XR that get everything inside it. And this is something you can do from the frame buffer. You can decide to save all the passes, all the masks together with the beauty pass in just one XR file. You will find some infos below this video to understand how to do that depending on the render engine you are using. But anyway, Now that the load session is done, as you can see, we have the beauty pass as the first one, and then it's automatically without the background. So XRIO automatically cut it out, and this happens only if you have a transparent background. So while you are in the frame buffer, be sure that you can look at the passes, you can check the passes, go into the alpha, and you should see something like a white where you have the building and black where you have the sky. If that happens, then you get this result, which is exactly what you're looking for, because you're going to put your background in Photoshop, not from the render engine. Now here we have the beauty pass. Here we have some passes, as you know, and here we have some masks. Now if you do that with something with cryptomat elements inside, that is the case, you basically you're using V-Ray and you're getting some cryptomat, you can just keep this option on, and you click on open. I mean, if you don't know how to stop cryptomat, you can check below this video and you will find a link to a tutorial we have on our blog. And this is the render, and this is like some other base pass. This the glare, the effect result, which is the base pass with the glare on top of it. And then you have all the cryptomats layers, which in Photoshop, I mean, normally you used to see them in colors, but in Photoshop they are basically just white layers with a shape. So how can you use this? You can just control click on the timeline of the level just to load the shape of it, and then you can go and immediately use an adjustment to work on the area. Now this doesn't make any sense, but it's just a proof that it's actually working, and it's amazing because this will take care of depth of field if you have blur in the scene and other effects from the camera. Okay, so this is how it works. Now we can go back on we can open this one together, which is basically the beauty pass. It's the final render, and we can just Control G. We can press Control G to close it into a group, and we call this one render. Okay, and I write these render word uppercase, and I will do the same for every main group. Okay, so and you will see in the post-production file there will be different type of group. There's like main groups and there are like subgroups, and just to have a difference between them, I write the name of the main groups uppercase, and then if there's any subgroup inside there, we are going to write the name lowercase. It's just an idea. You can have your own rules. This is mine, and you can adopt it or not. So anyway, this is the render, and even if it's just one single layer, it's inside the render folder. Now what we can do here, let's say that we can work on exposure, we can work on gamma. If we have some mistakes in the render itself, we can just render some regions, and you can place them here. But the problem is, sooner or later you will modify, you will bring this file depth from 32 to 16, because in 32-bit you cannot do a whole post-production. So what to do? Instead of bringing here render region or exposure, render layer will always be 32-bit no matter what. Right click, convert to smart object. First thing, the most important thing to do. And this group goes on top of the render, and we want to and the reason is sometimes we need a render pass, and we want to make this group visible, and we want to check them, and when we find something we may need, then we can in case you don't want to see red, green, blue.
Đại khái là cái này nó đang giải thích về cái cây thư mục của nó, cộng với cả cái file nó làm thì chỉ có cái folder render, như kiểu folder main của em á, là nó để layer thông minh, xong bên trong đấy có 32 bit thôi. Cá nhân em thấy cái này bình thường, không đến mức phải kiểu máy móc học theo, bởi vì 32 với cả 16 bit thì mình chỉnh trong 3D cũng được. Không đến mức phải gọi là ra đến tận đây mới chỉnh những cái mà nó bị cháy sáng cháy tối đến mức mà chỉ có 32 mà cứu được.
Or crypto mask or black and white mask. Then you bring the group on the top here. You can keep it basic. Is to create a new layer. You can do even after when you just change the mode to 16-bit. But anyway, if you want to fill a layer in 32-bit, you press Shift after you to remember. It's just because when you want to select an area, you need to get only the colors from the mask, nothing from below the mask. So this is necessary and we need to add it manually. Okay.
Ok,
So here we have masks.
cái nhét một cái layer đen này bên dưới cái layer RGB mask á, em cũng tự nghĩ ra được luôn, bởi vì đợt đấy em chọn nó suốt ngày bị dính cái phần bên nền bên dưới, em mới đặt một cái đen bên dưới.
Colors from the
Thật
map
ra
we
là cái
can
đoạn này
shut them
bình
down.
thường,
Now, let's
em
talk
có thể
about
skip.
planning. Okay, let's 10 years you can see in the file. Okay, is a
Xem nó
file
nói gì.
structure that is based on the distance between you or the camera and objects you can see in the file. Okay, so what can we do here? Now let's start from something simple. Okay, let's say that here we have the render, and the render goes from the camera to a certain point. And of course, if we have to put inside this render of like a sky image, the sky is probably the last thing, the furthest thing in between, in the scene. So what we do is we create a new group, right? We call it sky, and we bring it on at the bottom, because there's the render in between us and the sky, so the sky is the last one. Now let's say that, I don't know, let's suppose we have a forest or a city or a mountain in between us and the sky, in between the render, in between the building and the sky. It should be in here. Okay, so we create a new folder, and here
Nó cũng đang đi giải thích.
Okay, BG. You can, but you have to modify onto there.
Cây thư mục của nó thôi, không có gì cả.
Close. You save because it's gonna ask you to save. An adjustment is make it brighter, or you want to have some, I don't know, dirt on the center itself, concrete wall. So you should ask yourself, the things I want to modify, they already, belongs to the render itself, or it's something I need to, put on top of it, like, and it doesn't make any, it doesn't, there's no correlation between these things and the render. Like there, to put some grass. But let's say that I want to change the color of this swimming pool tiles. Well, those tiles are already in the render, and so the adjustment folder is the right folder to go and work with. Okay, of course we are going to get many different subfolders in there. I will show you how to work with that. In the props folder, we can just put anything which is not directly related to the render itself. I don't know, you have to put some grass here in the foreground. Well, props folder.
Cái này thì em hay gọi là mate. Thật ra đây là cây thư mục của mỗi người thôi. Từ sky này rồi đến bên trên sky rồi mới đến layer main của mình. Adjustment này chính là hiệu chỉnh mấy cái mask. Trên đấy mới là prop của nó là chính là cái mate của em. Nhét thêm cái cây đồ đạc gì vào thì nó sẽ nằm trong đây, chứ nó không được nằm vào adjustment này.
You want to put a tree here in the foreground, props folder. You have to put a person, but it's not part of the render itself. And we have this way, not
branch.
at the beginning. For example, we have some props. There's a new folder, and this folder is the effects folder, and
Effects.
it's on top of props, because let's say that, for example, we have some rain. We want to add some rain coming down from the sky. The rain will be on top of everything in the PSD file. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you have grass or not. Rain will be entire. The fog could be for the last one is the finalization folder. Okay, finalization. And basically this is something like what you do on Instagram. Sorry, on Instagram when you know you have your photo and you want to modify the look of the photo. Maybe you want to contrast the photo. Maybe you want to add filter. Maybe you want to some color grading, and it's massive. Uh, and normally, what I do if I need to use the camera raw filter is before even every time I will just copy the results of the camera raw filter and my new layer, my new render change this photo. Even if this is the base idea of the structure of a file, something I've done, like I've it's like 10 years I've made up this structure. So if you see someone else with the same names, probably you were here at SOE Academy. But anyway, if you feel like you are losing yourself because you have too many folders, remember that you can right click on the folder on the groups and pick a color for there. And so everything in
Nó bảo là 10 năm trước nó đã tự gọi là tự sáng chế ra cái gọi là cái cây thư
inside
mục
that
này, xong bây giờ bảo là nếu mà ai mà nhìn thấy cái cây thư mục này quen quen thì chứng tỏ là một là nó đã dạy, hai là anh em nhặt file của nhau.
folder, we got
Thật ra mình cũng không cần đi theo cây thư mục này. Bản chất cây thư mục của từng người, nếu mà có một cái mindset hệ thống thì nó đã đi theo như này rồi.
the
Cái này thì
same
bình thường,
color.
không có
Okay,
gì
so
cả.
if I stuff
Ai làm loạn thì mới nên học thôi, chứ mỗi người nếu mà đã thực sự gọi là có logic hệ thống rồi thì
here in
ai cũng làm theo hệ
effects,
thống này hết.
even in that layer. And
Chẳng qua nó
remember,
khác các
you
folder
know,
thôi.
to image mode and then convert all the passes and it to and then then you click on duplicate layer, and from this drop down menu on
Cái này
this
thì bình thường.
make good 16-bit channel to, and that means that
16-bit
we
này
can
thật
do,
sự là
for example, stuff like this. We can
mình không quan
convert
tâm cho lắm.
the ZDEP. Now there's
Mình
no
vẫn tin dùng
invert
16 thôi.
on 32-bit, but you can use levels to invert the ZDEP just by inverting these 2 points here. This version of Photoshop levels, and as you can see here, we can
Cái gì đấy?
look a little
Từ
bit
từ.
like vert on 32-bit, but you can use levels to invert the ZDEP just by inverting these 2 points here. You see, and it automatically look a little bit like fog, which is great. And you can keep doing stuff like this. Now this is not the last version of Photoshop. I will probably swap now because in the new version you have also curves in the 32-bit, but now we can work anyway on levels. And as you can see here, we can just
Chỉnh
I
cái
can
fog
just
thôi.
make it
Cái gì đâu.
more contrasted, just because I want maybe a mask of everything like inside the building like this. I don't know, just pretending I'm working on the starting file and go into the channels, make a new channel and paste, and then you have a new mask coming directly from this and reveal them, I would say, which is you have the render, beauty pass, BG, sky, adjustment props, effects, finalization, and then them.
Ok. Video này chắc dạy cho mấy ông nào làm việc lung tung quá thôi. Còn ai mà tiếp tục 3-step workflow nghe rất ngầu. Đi xem có gì.
Now that we have a file with all the passes and all the masks and the right organization, we need to learn a very basic process, a workflow that will makes everything easier. Okay, and this is what I call the 3-step process, the 3-step workflow. So let's make an example. Let's say that you want to work on the concrete wall on the left here.
Ok.
Well, there's 3 steps you need to follow in order to
3 bước.
work on it in the proper way and in a well organized way, I would say. First step, you need to understand which one of the master folders is the right one to work within. And in this case, because the concrete wall is part of the rendering itself,
Nó sẽ
and
nằm
we
trong
want
mục
to change
adjust.
the folder we need to work in is the adjustment folder. Okay?
Quá chuẩn luôn.
So the first step is to find the right folder you need to work with.
Yes.
And this is the adjustment for this case. And so you open this folder and you make a new subfolder under it, okay? Doesn't matter if the folder, the new group is going to be on top of it. You take it, you drag and drop it, and you put it inside there.
Considerate.
And then once the folder is there, you name it in a nice way, in a proper way for everybody to understand. So this will be concrete wall on the left.
Left.
Okay? So this is the first step.
Cũng
You
hay.
look for
Thêm
the
chữ
right
L,
main
right,
folder,
left, right các thứ
you
à.
create a subfolder, and you rename it. Second step. The second step is you need to look for the mask of that object. So in this case, because this is part of the render, you open the mask folder, you make it visible, and you need to select, because it's the green one, so you control click on the mask folder itself.
Okay.
Okay, this is the second step. So in this case, in this way, what you're doing is you are preventing any error, any possible mistake, because now if we work inside this folder, if we do everything, if we do, we paint, it's adjustment, doesn't matter what you do, everything will
Nó
be
sẽ nằm
visible
trong.
only on top of the concrete wall.
Đúng
So
rồi.
let's say you want to make some adjustment. So this is point number 3. You add some curves and you work on the curves, see, and you do what you want. Now I'm contrasting, you shouldn't contrasting at the beginning, it's just an example, okay? And this way.
Đấy, nó vừa nói đấy. Tao đang contrast lên nhưng mà bọn mày đừng hỏi tại sao là contrast nó lại nằm ở mấy cái bước sớm như này. Đây chỉ là một ví dụ thôi, chứng tỏ như cái video lần trước là nó bảo là không nên tăng contrast sớm. Không nên thôi chứ không phải là không được. Ai thích dùng thì dùng.
Way of working allow you to have a second mask, okay? A second mask. And it's very important because sometimes you don't want these adjustment or an effect on the entire area. So what you do? The third point is this.
Thêm mask vào.
Once you have the result you like, I don't know, let's say I like the result in here, okay? Only in there, okay? I got it. I like this result. I invert the mask, so I press Control I on the mask to invert that. In this way, the effect is gone. See, I don't care about painting outside this area. First point, find the right main folder and create a subfolder
Cái này thì mình biết
with
rồi.
proper name.
Nói chung là
Use
mình cái này mình biết rồi.
adjustments, and if you need to mask an adjustment instead of just painting black where we
Chính
don't
ra
want
mình cứ ngồi mình tự làm ấy, xong mình tự nghĩ ra cái cách tối ưu thì nó lại giống cái cách mà bọn này đang dạy.
the effect. Well, it's a kind of
Để tiết kiệm thời gian thì mấy
safe
cái này
net.
thì
It's,
nghe qua đấy
if
nhá.
you invert the map, paint white.
Học cái mới.
Otherwise, you can forget
Này thì mình
some
biết rồi.
areas. Maybe if you forget to paint them black. So this is times.
Không có gì lắm. Video how to fix error in lại 32 bit à? Chết.
We can add some render region if we made some mistakes. Anyway, this is the moment when you are still on 32-bit file. Okay, this is the main file, and I still have to create the smart object. I just created the different folders. I put the passes in the passes, mask in the masks, and then this could be the right time to modify the 32-bit file. Now, remember, this could be done any moment because anyway, this beauty pass have to be saved in a smart object, and that smart object will stay 32-bit, so we can go back to that anytime. At least try to work on them, or because the base render will actually be the base of your post-production. So if you have some mistakes, you can be distracted by them, and it's not that great. So let's say that we can work on something here. Now the exposure of this image is correct. We don't need any adjustment on the exposure, but I just want to show you what to do in case you need it. And on the other side, there's sometimes you get, I don't know, maybe you got a tree, and you arrives there, you touch this fringe of the image. The problem is when you go and you convert this to a smart object, the new smart object will be as big as the content of your current layer. And this is a problem if you then want to import masks in the smart object, and you have masks which are basically bigger than the actual image. As you can see here, if you have like a mask and you merge these two layers, the size of these two layers together in terms of pixel is bigger than the size of these beauty paths. So you can get some problems in the future if you import masks in the beauty pass, in the smart object of beauty pass later on. So what can you do at the beginning of post-production? First of all, what you can do is you can just check your render and check if you have fix a little bit the wall here. This time, as you can see, we kind of forget about the 3-step workflow. We are not 16-bit. It's automatically masked with the proper area, and then you can play with the exposure. And I would say I prefer to work with the gamma instead of working with exposure, because if you go up with the gamma, with the exposure, you see you easily overbright the area. But if you just go down with the gamma, everything becomes kind of pure and white and clean. And most of the time, this effect is something that I can see on photographers' works, and I like it because it's kind of clean and is not overexposed, I would say. So, or you convert these two things into a single smart object, and by the way, you can have as many adjustments as you want, not just one. What I normally do is I make a duplicate of the folder of the mask folder. So I select the entire folder and I press Ctrl J, and this is the mask copy. Okay, if you want, you can rename the group mask 32-bit, and then I bring this down here inside the render folder, and I just want to select this group now. And also you see this the beauty pass and all the adjustments we have here to fix the base render. So we select these three things, right click, and we convert to a smart object. And now all these layers and the group of the mask will be stored inside a new smart object. And once the mask 32 is not cut it up here, and if
Rồi, hiểu cái ý đồ của video này rồi. Thật ra là mình không làm trên 32 bit, mình làm trên 16 bit. Cái bước mà nó store cái 32 bit này ấy, ở trong một cái layer thông minh ấy, xong back ra file ngoài thì nó lại là 16 bit, là một cái trick để nó lưu giữ nhiều thông tin điểm ảnh hơn thôi. Và nó do là nếu mà chỉ như thế mà layer nó cắt ấy, thì cái khung hình nó sẽ chỉ đến đây, giống như cái lúc nãy nó bật lên ấy. Đâm ra nó vứt cả cái mask này vào trong layer thông minh, thì khi mà layer thông minh cả ba cái này thì nó sẽ đủ khung hình chuẩn cho mình, và kèm thêm những cái mà nó hiệu chỉnh thêm. Nói chung là nó thẳng ra thì mình thấy bình thường, mình dùng 16 bit cũng được.
we need something else.
Chắc chắn là video này nó sẽ nói chuyên về cái đấy.
Here and I go for another exposure our life because once you're happy with the result, you close in this and you click on yes. The file is going to be saved in the cache inside the other PSB, and okay, this is it, as you can see. And now,
Giờ mới chuyển về 16 bit.
we can convert the whole file in 16-bit channel
Đấy.
file. Remember, before you do that, remember from the previous videos, you need to take the Z depth and bring the Z depth into another file, so you can. And I do because it's not that handy. It's not that easy then to work with that. Is sometimes you don't have any. You see, you don't have any alpha in the Z depth, so the final canvas of this image in a smart. So trust me, the best thing you can do is to right click in here and then duplicate layer and bring the ZDAP into another file, and you can save the ZDAP of this file as a PSD and open it when you need it. Okay, so by the way, now you can just
Riêng kênh GDEP này thì mình đồng tình với ông này, bởi vì GDEP để tạo ra cái giải chuyển của cái fork nó mượt đấy thì nên dùng 32 bit là đúng rồi. Đâm ra là nó mới khi chuyển cái này về 16 bit ấy, nó không dùng ZDEP của 16 bit, nó copy sang một cái file mới đây này. File này là để 32 bit và nó hiệu chỉnh xong nó mới back về đây thì nó ra được cái hiệu quả ưng nhất của nó. Chứ nó không hiệu chỉnh cái kênh ZDEP kéo level thứ ở trên kênh 16 bit. Tẹo nữa cái file này nó sẽ chuyển về 16 bit này.
Convert this image to 16-bit, don't merge, and then save the PSB. Rules, then it's up to you if you want to use them or not. In this case, we have just a bunch of a few folders. We have finalization, and then we have adjustments. But and from a former student, and as you can see here, we have a few folders. Now, I told you, I give you some rules. Then it's up to you if you want to use them or not. In this case, we have just a bunch of a few folders. We have finalization, and then we have adjustments, but and then backgrounds for the background photo. But this is not the
final image,
I would say, starting point, because the render itself is inside here and is inside the smart object. And if we open the smart object, you will see is a 32-bit file, as you can see up here, and there's a bunch of adjustment here. So if I select them all and I turn them off with the eye, okay, I can just put them into a folder to make it quicker. Then I can see here this is the original render, and it's kind of dark. Every surface here is not pure white, which is not a problem anymore. If you think about, how many times we kind of fight in the 3D render, in the render engine, to get very clean white surfaces, and sometimes it's not possible just because maybe you don't have enough light bouncing around, or your HDRI is not strong enough. Anyway, from now on, you don't care anymore. If you get something gray, you are happy with that. And then when you will open the image and you create the 32-bit smart object, you can just go and select the mask from the mask folder, and then create an exposure. And then you see, in this case, I went down with the gamma, and it just did this over and over and over on every surface to basically make it brighter, and but without losing the depth of my scene. And here we have a render region. As you can see, if I hide the mask, you can just press on the thumbnail, click on with the shift button and the mouse, and as you can see, this is the render region. So when he did the render, he said, "Oh, I forgot about the plants." So we did a render region, just a crop, that's it. And as you can see, it works fine. So this is basically how we started. We just washed everything with a white tone, and then we were happy, and we basically save. Now this is a smart object. I don't save it. I don't want to change it, the original content. But this is the starting point now, and with a few more adjustment, a little bit of warm light in here, stuff we are going to see. But anyway, we start from something brighter and something we like more. If we have some mistakes, remember one thing: if you forget to cut out the render, so maybe you still have some sort of sky or some sort of background in the beauty pass, and you want to cut out to get then to be able to put some background in the 16-bit pass, do your cutout in the 32-bit. So if you take away the background from a 32-bit, it's a lot better. It's a lot better because it's kind of more accurate. There's more information on the fringes of the masks. So this should be the right place where you cut out the background if you have to. Okay. Now, if you follow my instructions, there should be no reason for that. But you never know. You never know. Maybe you are working on some old post production and you need this. Okay.
Tóm tắt lại nhá, nếu mà ảnh render ra ấy mà lởm mà tối om rồi HDRI nó không chạm tới được ấy, thì nếu mà tăng sáng tổng thể lên thì dùng 32 bit là đúng rồi, bởi vì trong cái khung 32 bit thì nó sẽ lưu trữ được nhiều thông tin hơn, thì cứ cầm cái kênh exposure mà kéo gamma lên hoặc kéo exposure lên thôi. Như cái thằng này nó tăng từ cái bức ảnh tối om lên xong lên cậy cả đống ánh sáng, nhưng mà thật ra thì mình không bao giờ render một bức đến mức tối xong tăng sáng tổng thể lên như thế cả, mà mình sẽ kiểm soát ngay từ trong 3D. Đấy là thứ nhất. Cái thứ hai là ông ấy bảo là nếu mà cắt trời, ví dụ như nếu mà làm theo workflow nó từ trước á, thì sẽ không bị cái lỗi này, tức là nó sẽ để trời đen xong mình nhét trời đằng sau. Nhưng mà nếu mà vẫn làm trong cái workflow cũ mà quên chưa tách trời chẳng hạn, thì nên dùng 32 bit để tách. Cái này thì cũng không phản đối, đại khái là chung quy là 32 bit dùng thì cũng được, nhưng mà nó cứ, tức là bản chất mình cũng kiểm soát được trong 3D rồi ấy. Để mà lên được khi mà mình hậu kỳ rồi thì cái bức ảnh nó đã ở một cái mức độ, thứ nhất là ánh sáng nó phải đủ, màu sắc các thứ nó đã đủ rồi. Còn đến theo kiểu mà render xong tối om rồi các thứ để mà phải lưu ra 32 bit để nó nhiều thông tin hơn để mình kéo sáng lên tổng thể thì nó là điều không nên. Đại khái là Mr. Duy vẫn trung thành 16 bit nhé. Hết rồi.
That's it.
Méo thật. How to work with glasses. Đây bây giờ nó mới đi đến mấy phần hay hay này. Xem mấy kia chán vãi chưởng. Cũng không đến mức chán, nhưng mà cũng hơi chán.
When it's about glasses, you have to make a choice. If you want to render them directly in the 3D software, or maybe you want to keep them as a separate pass and compose them into Photoshop. In the first case, maybe you have the entire vegetation done in 3D, you want to keep the sky from the render itself, and so you will not have any problem about rendering glasses because they will get the right reflection, they will get the right refraction. So it's not a problem about glasses anymore because you have everything there. And if you want to modify something inside the building, for example, remember that you also have the refraction pass, which is basically a great tool to completely remove your glasses from the scene, and then you do what you need to do, and then you put on top the raw reflection pass to get glasses again. And we are going to see some examples about this, not now, but I want to show you why we normally go for the second case, which is basically you render the building without glasses, and then you turn them on again. You render just a part of the building, just a part of the canvas, and you get the raw reflection pass from that rendering, which is something that looks like this. And as you can see from this raw render, this raw reflection pass, the background here, which is reflected into the glasses, is kind of wrong because we have nothing there. We can see the horizon is overexposed, and it's not ready to be used. But anyway, we can just take it into the PSB file, and we can start working on it. So you need to make this choice: rendering glasses with the beauty pass, which makes sense if you have everything done in the 3D file, or just render the raw reflection pass on a second render, and then you can do the magic in Photoshop. So as you can see in this example, in this file, we have a couple of render passes. We have the glass row reflection, which is 100% strong, and the glass reflection, which is the actual strength of the glasses and the render. Now, which one we should use? Normally what we do is we use the row reflection one, even if it's wrong because it's too powerful. But since it is not ready to be used, because you see if there is a wrong reflection here, we are going to blend this with a new photo, with new photos of the sky, with new photos of the background. And once is done, then we are going down with opacity, and we are masking it in different ways, because the strength of a dielectric depends on the angle between you and the object. And so we will probably go down with the opacity of this area a lot, because this is the front part of the glass and it should be something like 5% strong. And this is the water from the swimming pool, and this should be the reflection from this one should be higher, because we are at a glance angle, so it should be stronger than this one. Anyway, what to do, you can just open the glass row reflection XR pass. Thanks to XR.io, it will automatically be cut out, and then you can just right click here in the gray area of the layer, and you pick duplicate layer, and from the drop PSB, and as you can see, if you go down with the opacity, you see you get an idea of the effects that you will get in the end if these reflection,
Adjust.
bring it into the adjustment folder, because reflection is part of the render. Anyway, and we close this one into a new group, and we call this group glasses. And for now, we forget about it. Okay, so we are not gonna think about this. We can just hide it, and we are going back on this once we have a background, once we have a sky, once we have a foreground, and so we can use those photos to fix the actual reflection. To use it, you need to select it. So you need to Control A, Control C. So Control A is to select all, Control C is to copy, and then you can go back on the PSB file, channels, make a new channel, and paste it with Control V. And so we have the selection of the glasses, and we can use it on the glasses folder, because glasses are different than the swimming pool water. If you have glasses which you can see their thickness, like in this example, you see we have glasses down there which are the thickness is not visible, but these ones you can clearly see the shape of the 3D shape of the object. So there's no way to accomplish the same result you can see here with just a row render pass, because you will not get the thickness of the glass inside the glass itself. So in this case, you need to render the glass with the beauty pass. There's no other way. And one thing you can try is at least to keep the other glasses invisible, and then with the XR.io plugin for Photoshop to cut out automatically the alpha of this first glass, in order to put a fake another reflection with the row render with the row reflection just on the outside. So this is the problem. This is a well-known problem, and it mostly happening in interiors. And so most of the time when we render interiors, we also have a 3D background outside, so we don't have to render glasses on a separate pass, on a separate render.
Thế rồi à? Làm việc với Photoshop với Glass thế thôi, tưởng có gì hay hơn. How to pick the right sky photo.
So the first important thing to know when you need to import some photos into your PSD file is not about the content itself, so about how the photo looks like, but also about the depth So the amount of informations you have inside that file. And it's important with skies because they are mainly gradients. And if you have a low number of informations, a poor quality, I would say, all the gradients will be ruined because all the adjustment you can have on the top. So instead of getting nice images with a lot of colors, you will get less and less colors every time you do something on top of it. And that's not good. So what is the best thing you can do? The best thing you can do is to go physically outside with your own camera and take your own pictures. And when you select the format, you need to select the RAW format. So you can have 16-bit depth images, and the amount of information inside, it's a lot bigger than 8-bit. So this is the best thing you can do. If you cannot do that because I don't know, you don't have a camera, I mean, buy it. But if you cannot do that, at least you can go and search for backplates when you
Backplates.
buy HDRIs from, for example, Peter Guthrie. Every time you have an HDRI, you also save in the same zip file a lot of backplates, a lot of photos from that same sky, and you can reuse them as you want. But the problem is these photos are not 16-bit. There's photos are JPEG, they're 8-bit, and so you can easily ruin them with a few adjustments. But at least these photos are not touched, are not modified by the artist. It's a good thing. The worst thing you can do actually is to go online on Google and search for skies, okay? This is not something you can do, okay? And the reason is every image here is an
8-bit.
8-bit image, first of all, so not a lot of information. And more than that, probably they are already post-produced. There's some adjustment on them by default because the guy that make the photo and put it online did it for you. And there's the amount of range of colors different research engine is photos that looks like they're just out of the camera, something like this. You see, doesn't look like someone post-product this one. Other problem is the JPEG format. The JPEG format it's a very bad format to save images with, and you get a sort of pattern which is not that visible at the beginning, but then if you start using adjustment like curves, it will be a lot more visible, and you will end up getting a very terrible gradients as a background for your renders every time. And I got like former students come back to me and said, Roberto, I can see very bad gradients, and when I save the image I can see something like weird lines cutting through the sky. And that's normal because the
Đây là ảnh
less
8-bit.
amount of colors you have to define a gradient, the more step you will actually see. And so that's terrible, and you cannot get something out of it anyway. So my best advice is just go and use your own camera to take your own pictures, and then we can understand now how to choose the right picture for your background. So the first thing you need to do when you want to match sky behind your render is to look for the horizon. And you need to look for the horizon in the render and in the photo of the sky. And that's why I like the backplates from Peter Guthrie, because if you open one of them, you can see
The
there is
horizon.
horizon over there. And so what to do after you find the horizon in your render, you can just match them. You can just place to keep your horizon in your render inside the rectangle tool. You can, and here you
Tìm
want
tìm
pixels as
horizon.
render,
Cái này thì
and
biết
you
rồi.
look for the load of
Kéo hai cái thanh cắt nhau là được.
Alright, you can line well to this one in
Rồi
the
đặt
project
cái ảnh
itself. So if I
trời vào đấy.
want basically set up original lines, it will work the same here, and be anyway parallel to the horizon, but that till they
Lại còn giải thích
met,
về
and that is your
đường mặt
horizon.
đường
And
chân trời
okay,
nữa.
we have the
Hơi
guideline. Remember, if
hơi
you want to
chi tiết
hide
quá.
guidelines in Photoshop, you can press Ctrl H
Mà cũng đúng thôi, nó
and
dạy cho người không biết
Ctrl
gì.
H again if you want to show that any that light, some light on it. But anyway, we can see even on this
Từ từ, nó nói gì đây?
our right, on our right shoulder, I would say, and it's pretty low because we can get some light on this facade, so it means that it's passing through these windows, and so it's pretty low, kind of dawn or dusk lighting. But anyway, we can see even on this part of the wall, the shadow is not in line with this glasses, but it comes a little bit out of the wall, so the sun is probably not here, but a little bit earlier, so we get the shadow coming in this direction. But anyway, we don't have to be 100% perfect. We can just find a photo of a sky with the sun on our right shoulder, or if you want, on the other side, okay, symmetrical other side, and then we can just flip the image, we can just flip the photo, okay. Anyway, just an example. In this case, if you find a picture with the sun visible in the sky directly, that would be wrong, because you understand, but if you know where the
Cái này
sun
thì
is,
kiến thức cơ bản thôi.
it's not easy sometimes, okay, because
Nó đang giải thích là chọn đúng hướng mặt trời thôi mà,
let's
có gì
take a
đâu.
look for a possible sky shadow that goes completely on the right. Now, of course, if we use this photo, we need to take it and flip it horizontal. This photo has been taken when the sun was still high in the sky, and if you look at the moment, this is 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and probably it's too early, so we need to look about other photos. And I found these one, and as you can see here in these photos, the sun is pretty low, pretty low, and of course I cannot pick these ones because I can see clearly the sun, sorry, in
Center.
the sky in front of us. So I need to, you see, wait for the sun to move out of the frame, and in this picture here I can clearly into my click immediately, and I go for a flip horizontal. I can move it. This is anyway a smart object as horizon of the picture of and then here guiding lines, sun location, and that's it. Now,
That's
the
it,
fact that we found the sky doesn't mean that you need to keep the first sky that works. You can continue to search for other skies, and you can also modify something you found.
Ok, toàn nói kiến thức cơ bản thôi. How to customize your sky. Dự đây cũng là một clip cơ bản này, nhưng mà 20 phút. Cái gì nhanh thì cơ bản mình sẽ tua nhé.
One of the first thing you want to do when you have to modify the sky under the render brush, and you need a layer on top of the actual sky, and the brush has to be very soft brush, so no hard edges, and you want something quite big. Now, to increase or decrease the size of the brush, what I'm doing is I'm pressing Alt, and as you can see, difficult, every very customized. I mean, no drawing, just a straight line. So what I'm doing now on this top layer is, with the brush selected, I'm pressing and then pressing Shift. I just go here with the mouse. You see, I don't have the mouse on top of the the center will basically blend better with the background in this case, okay? So I'm not covering some sky. I just want to cover this area here. So I press Shift, and then when you press Shift and you use the brush, you can do straight lines. Maybe more to cover the horizon. And once you're done with that, you see that you are in the sky, okay? Gradients, okay? You have one gradient, sky power, okay, to the top, and basically this gradient will simulate the sky, okay, the sky power.
Mm.
So I mean, if here you have basically, I don't know, very, strong blue. Here you have normally something that looks
Orange,
more like gray, okay?
gray.
And then because of the sun, okay, let's say that the sun is here, suppose the sun is here, then you have a radial gradient that increase the amount of brightness coming from that point,
Mm.
and also gives you a little bit more of color, I would say. So you have because the sky is basically made by these two gradients, and so because we know that the sun is here, now if we hide the render, you see this color is cool, is okay for the right part of the picture, but is not alright for this part, because as you can see here, this should be a little bit less saturated and also darker, okay? So what you do here to make a proper job, if you want, is to add an adjustment, curves, and you attach the adjustment to the painted layer, pressing Alt and clicking in it here in the middle. So this now is attached only to this layer and is working only on this layer. And then we get down with the, you see the bright value
So
white effects only on pink normally goes into luminosity. Otherwise, it changes something. Use saturation attached to the previous adjustments, and so you need to go down the saturation gradient that keeps this saturation only on the left. And as you can see now,
Okay.
and you just on top on this layer here, and then you can choose to do a couple of things. You can invert the mask to dissolve the effects, and so you can, and that's it. Or you can just you can just have the new again the white mask and erase the effect where you don't want it. So with a black, the right result, painting black, that's why I put black in here, so the mask is and as you can see, if
Tô
I have
trắng
to
vào.
cover this area, get you the effect, this looks like a little bit like fog, which is, this is another way to make fog on the distance. And you can also go down with the opacity here, stroke, okay, which is less strong than the, and maybe I'll just make an example. So let's see how to do that. And as you can see, this one, for example, is a 16-bit image plugin will just convert the image, or try to convert your 16-bit image into a 8-bit image, and that's terrible. Okay, so what to do? Once you drag and drop the image into your file, then the camera raw plugin will start, as you can see here, and you need to be sure that down here you find 16-bit written down there. Okay, if you find like 8-bit, that's a problem. So what you need to do, if you find 8-bit, which is probably what will happen to you soon, you click in there, and then this camera raw preferences tab will open, and here you need to put 16-bit.
Okay.
And in this way, your image will not lose any information. You press OK, and then you check here again. You double check. You should see 16, and then you can, just open the image. Be aware that so what to do? On the keyboard, and click to attach them to the original layer, to the clouds there. And so maybe I want to keep them, close there to the horizon. I don't know if in the future I'm going to cover them with some vegetation, but at least I have something cool. So what to do? We need to search for the right blending mode now. Because of these clouds are pretty bright,
Screen.
and I don't know if they're brighter than the background, I don't know. We can just, take this blending mode to lighten, for example. And as you can see, some of the cloud will reveal itself because these areas are brighter than the pixel behind them, actually. And now I can do a couple of things. I have a couple of choices here. I can make the background darker, or I can make this photo brighter to see more of it. Okay. Now in this case, just because this photo is, already bright in this area, I can just choose to go and add an adjustment on the bottom, which is not linked to anything now, because I want to affect this to affect the whole thing, the whole background. And I can go down a little bit with the, see, with the brightness, with the white values. And of course I don't want these to affect the whole sky, so I'm going, with the
Like
with the
gradient.
gradients, something like this. And then I can check it twice. Okay, this difference is not that much. And then I can just go back on my new clouds at only where I arrived. Okay, and then I like this one, and I can go down with the opacity a little bit. See, so I match the brightness on top of this new
kéo
clouds,
kéo cam lên.
attach the color balance to the clouds itself, and then add a little bit of, you see, it's just one way to do it. I can, just decide to delete them
Ờ.
with a black brush. You don't have to do everything in one shot. You need to do, okay? And, remember that you are not forced to keep 100% opacity. You can just go down and, just get a glimpse of it. It's enough, okay? Could work. If it doesn't work, you can modify, the brightness of the previous layers, or the brightness of the new layer. And once you see something that you may like, then it's about masking. Okay, it's about masking. You had a mask, you invert the mask, and you paint white only where you want to keep the content. And still, if there's something to fix, you can add some adjustment to change, the color maybe slightly. And a lot of dust in the air in between you and that object. And so remember always that everything in the sky, everything on the ground, will eventually got this color here when, they get to the horizons. See, sooner or later everything will become of this value here. Okay. And so if you have something like these clouds, which are probably too strong, if you keep them 100% opacity, 100% visible, you can just go down with the opacity, and you see this gray here should be brighter than the gray here, because these clouds are closer to you than these ones. So it's very important to understand the amount of brightness that you need when you go far away. Okay, and that's it. That's just an example. Just
Okay.
go down with the opacity, or maybe I can go down with a curve. But because this is in lighten mode, it will basically is going to do the same result, because the lighting will show something. If remember what I told you in the previous video, try to not do a massive post-production on the sky folder, because you need to maintain as much as color as you can, as much as value as you can. And if you need, then when you get to the finalization, with the other things, with the building, with the foreground, when you're close to the end of the post-production, then you can go back on the sky folder. Maybe because you want to get a little bit more of realism, and you have the correct exposure on the building, you may want to add a curve and to make the whole sky a little bit brighter, because you know that when you have the right exposure on the building, probably the sky is a little bit overexposed. But please don't do it too soon, otherwise you will not get as many informations as you may get. Okay, so this is something you can do at the end if you feel like the sky is too dark. Okay, and always look at photos, always look at real references to understand how the sky reacts on a certain time of the day if you have, of course, the right exposure on the building, because it's mainly, and it's a sort of giant lamp. Okay, we get some light from the sky anyway, even if it's night. Okay, maybe because of the moon, maybe because of clouds that basically scatter light and just match. Do it once. That's the trick.
Tóm tắt là một video nó nói về cách hiệu chỉnh sky, chọn 16 bit, 8 bit ra sao, rồi add mây, add các thứ vào. Làm chi tiết thế này thì nửa ngày shop công ty công nghiệp làm sao mà làm được, không sao. Nhưng mấy cái add mây, add trời, mấy công cụ này thì mình hiểu hết rồi nhé. Mình nghĩ là mình sẽ skip clip này. Sketch idea with photo. 25 phút, phải pip. Xem nốt video này.
So this part of the process is about picking the right photos to complete your background and foreground. Now, normally you have some guidelines from the client about the design of, but differently if you don't have any base idea about what you need to do and you have like a free choice about that, you need to do the inverse work. So you need to start looking at photos and made up some ideas about what the environment should look like. And when I do this, I normally just check the images, and we can go to film strip here on Bridge. And what I do is I look at images without thinking too much about what to do, but just looking at the content itself. And that's why the reason why I do that is because most of the time I don't maybe like the whole picture, but maybe I found just an element that I don't know, maybe I can use in some way somewhere, and I can just take that picture and bring it inside Photoshop and say, okay, I keep this one here, I park this one here momentarily, and I will use it maybe in the next future, in the next hour, and maybe I will use just a part of it. And so I try to not be that picky about the content or about the whole content, I would say, but maybe you can just use a part of that photos to do what you need. Okay, the main thing is you need to anyway look for the same lighting. Okay, because of course you cannot use an image like this if the sun is coming from the right. As you can see here, the sun is basically here at this point, and we have a scene with the sun which is more on the right, and so the two type of lighting, they don't match, and there's nothing you can do. Okay, the second thing you need to work with is the horizon. So I know that if I have a photo with the horizon visible, then I can just match the two horizons and the perspective will work perfectly without without issues. So what I'm doing now here is I'm just going and looking for some photos. For example, this one has the light coming from left, I suppose, yeah, because I can see the shadows there. And so I will use this one for the foreground maybe, or a part of it for the foreground. I just need to flip it. Have well-cut grass maybe. I can use this one, which is perfect for the background because I have the lighting coming from far left, but I can just flip the image. It's a lot easier to cut out because, as you can see, the sky is completely washed out. It's like very bright, and there's no clouds whatsoever. And when you have something like this, to cut out the fringe of every tree is a lot easier, I would say. But maybe I'm using this image only like here, and that's it. And I don't care about this area here. Maybe this part of this photo here. I can put it there. So you see, it's a little bit like a puzzle. You need to find some photos, define which part of the photo you are going to use, and then try to compose them together. And of course, the only thing you need to care about is the lighting, of course, because you have to match the lighting of your scene, okay, and so on. And a few more tips about finding the right picture. Let's say that you are on a slope looking down, okay, in your render. So you need something that looks like, you know, I don't know, a grass field that is under your feet. Well, you can just go
Nó
out
nói về
and
việc
instead
tìm
of
nguyên
taking
liệu
a
để
picture
mết.
like this, you see, looking straight in front of you, you basically look up with the camera and so what it should be, and the
Tôi
vegetation you
xem
have
nói
there
nói
will
hơi dài dòng.
be in perspective like if you are
Chưa có
on
chia
top
sẻ
of a
kinh
hill.
nghiệm gì không? Chỉ
And
đang
this
nói
is the
về những cái bức
example,
ảnh thôi. Vậy, ý tưởng của
the
nó.
other way example. You see, I'm on the same, in front of the same grass field, and instead of looking up or looking straight in front of me, I'm basically looking down. And the horizon now, it's up there, grass field, like in the city, and basically you will have the same effects, the same perspective, the perspective that you need to have, okay? So once you go out with your camera to take pictures, you know, always get a picture with the horizon in the middle of your frame, one with the horizon in the lower part, and one with the horizon on the higher part. And with that three pictures, it will be enough to, you know, have the three type of, you know, ground that you need, because, you know, it's very simple, but it's a very effective tip. Another thing you need to know about lighting, the reason is there is no direct light from the sun, and as you may know, you can then paint your own lighting manually. So now that empty layer, just a black brush, and I can see that in the bottom here, at the bottom here, I will have some trees, some vegetation, and down there you will have some, you know, lower bushes or like some crop fields going in this area, okay? I want something like to push the eyes on the building itself, okay? One or more, I would say, one or more. The attention on the building, and maybe we can have here something like bush, okay, or a couple of bushes, this area. And I don't know, you know, look on the right, because we don't care looking there on the right, okay? Maybe this part will be
Dark.
a little bit darker. Regional project, we just added because it's cool to have, with a little bit like well-cut grass. Like, start with these ideas, and then we can modify the ideas while we're working. We have some shape here with the trees. It will be green, of course, and because it's and here again. Trying also to achieve is repetition. You know, we have some shape here with the trees. It will be green, of course, and here again, and here again. And the brain will love this kind of connection, this kind of you know, similarities, because it's a kind of a journey you do with your eyes, and if you can connect the dots, then you will feel a lot better, okay? So now that we have a base idea of what to do, we can start bringing the photos, and you know, in the file we can of course keep smart objects, because we don't know now how big they will be, making perfect and nice masks on a wrong photo, just because you need to cut it out. So, you know, now we import the photos, we cut them out very roughly, and we can take a look about how it looks like. Okay, from in the, you know, mask the grass folder, the very of course we can make check with another photo, wrong maybe this one. So we can try to import this one, or even this one, moving it can work of the picture. And we can use the same photo we have here, so we can re-import the same photo. Somewhere here, so let's put in, press Alt to, that's it, scale it, just go back on bridge, background folder, so by the background folder, if it could work with it. It's less work to do.
Ôi, chết giờ.
This is working, of course.
Ngồi
We don't
xem
care
tí
about
thấy
the
nó
sky.
thay
We're
đổi
going
quá.
to cut out the sky in better. Off any problem, you can press Alt and
từ
go down.
khoan,
Double
cái
click
này
on
hay
the
nhá.
layer. And because of that background is basically white, you can just use the blend if option and go down with that. And as you can see, it works amazingly.
Oh my god,
Because
mình
the
biết cái
sky
này nhưng
was
mà mình không biết
actually pretty bright.
làm
Okay?
nó
And if you have any problem, you can press Alt and
từ cái trời.
divide that pointer to have a range of values to work with. But you know, it's pretty solid. It's pretty good. Maybe we don't even need to cut out that sky. So you see how good is to. So let's go back on bridge. This one inside. So of course the size of
Oh
white,
shit.
especially, it's enough to give you an idea. So we can duplicate these on the back of one, because difference between the two trees.
Đúng rồi.
It's gonna work.
Khác nhau.
It's gonna work. I'm happy with the result. You take a look at the trees and into a instantaneously say, okay, I know what to put inside this image, etc., etc. Okay, maybe there's another one which is better. Okay, and maybe it needs less post-production. The light is better matched with your render. So guys, it's a sort of, it's a, you know, a work of patience and test and trial and errors. Okay, bring in a photo, it works, very good. It doesn't work,
No
who
problem.
cares? Next photo. That's the that's how you should think about this.
Nó bảo là do cái này làm nó sẽ mất rất nhiều thời gian, nó mệt mà, đâm ra là đưa một bức ảnh vào, nó ăn ngay thì tốt, không ăn ok không sao cả, bức ảnh tiếp theo.
Part of the job, okay? And you don't care about matching images, okay? You don't care if this part of the photo match with this part of the photo, or this photo match with the background. You don't care, okay? You don't care about colors. You only care about perspective
Lighting.
and maybe lighting, okay?
Yeah.
And I say maybe because maybe you have two photos which is like
Different.
one with the direct sun visible, one photo is from an overcast day, and you will think about matching lighting in a second moment if you need, but right now is all about the type of content and if they well match together and if the perspective match first of all.
Ồ. Ngồi nhìn lúc đầu trông rất lởm nhá. Xong bùm cái. Cũng gọi ra gì? Color matching này. Cái này chắc là học hôm sau đi. Color matching. Không biết có file bài tập không ta? Resort 3.2 à? Cái này là mây trời. À đây. Nó cho đồ này. Nó cho hàng này. Class 3.4. 3.4 là cái gì? Ui nặng thế. Ba hay biết là cu. À không, 16. 3 chấm cho lá. 3.8.5. Cái gì đây? Nặng có 500 mê thôi. Gem. Ok, khá là hứa hẹn. Bây giờ nó bắt đầu đi vào phần hậu kỳ nhiều hơn rồi, chứ nó không còn. Thật ra cái đoạn này thì mình vẫn hiểu hết nhưng mà Nhưng mà theo thiên hướng hay theo kiểu nó mết mết ấy, nó đi chụp trong cùng một môi trường, nó ra nó nhét vào trông nó hợp luôn. Nếu mà mình thực sự mết mình đi nhặt nguyên liệu thì chắc cũng ốm đấy. Hôm sau mình sẽ học color matching này. Để từ đọc mấy cái title làm sao xem có hấp dẫn không. Different way to cut out a photo. Different way to cut out a photo exercise. How to create custom brush. Brush. À, ok. Tiếp thêm. How to work with glasses. Làm việc với kính như nào. Ờ, phản xạ của hồ bơi như nào. Khá là hay đấy. Tức là từ buổi sau chắc là sẽ có nhiều thứ hay ho. Mình đang định mai tắm nhưng mà chắc bây giờ phải bật lại tắm, thấy khó chịu quá. Anh em nghe nhạc nha. Chết cha. Nghe tí nhạc chill buổi tối đi. Nghỉ nhá anh em nhá. Làm nếu anh em nào có mỗi 2 người đang xem, đến biết ông nào luôn. Hay phết. Chủ nhật học phát hoặc là có thể mai học luôn. Kiến thức nhẹ mà. Anh nữa anh vẫn ngồi xem à? What the fuck? À anh ao. Rồi nghỉ thôi, chào anh em nhá.